Hank's always saying that
Weeping willows swept across Amy's car as if to say hello. In front of the trailer, Sherry reclined in a red and beige lawn chair. Pink floral pajama pants and a white tank hung loose on her emaciated body. Her dark, long hair clashed with her pale skin and sunken cheeks. She bounced Jenny, her 2-year-old, on one knee. Sherry waved, a joint between her fingers. From the back of the trailer, 5 Rottweilers rounded the corner, barking, foaming at the mouth. Rusty, Dusty, Busty, Mutton, and Puff Daddy surrounded Amy. She patted each one on the head before pushing her way through, careful to avoid the craters the dogs had dug into the dirt. Dirt that probably once hosted a lush, green lawn.
How goes the potty training? Sucks. She's only 2. Give it time. You're looking better. 10 days. 10 whole days.
No more night terrors. No more sleepless nights. No more zombie medications. No more tears. Sherry put her joint out on the plastic arm of the chair.
Then why are you here? I gotta be sure.
Sherry scooped up her daughter and headed toward the trailer. Sherry buckled Jenny into a high chair. With her daughter entertained by a handful of Cheerios scattered on the tray, Sherry sat in one of the metal folding chairs surrounding the table. Amy sat across from her and offered her hand, palm up. Cold, slender fingers grasped Amy's wrist. The fingers of her other hand traced along Amy's palm. Slowly, meticulously. Amy remained motionless, holding her breath, and prayed that Sherry would find no bad vibes in her reading. She let go of Amy, snatching her hand away. She cradled it against her chest as if she'd been burned.
Go. Goodness, is it that bad? Leave and don't ever come here again. I don't understand.
Sherry plucked her daughter from the high chair. She stepped backward toward the living room.
I said leave. Keep your $20 and get the hell out.
When Amy refused to leave Sherry's trailer without an explanation, Sherry had spilled all. She called it demonic and extremely powerful. It had given Amy the night terrors that fateful week only 10 days ago, and it was not gone. Amy stood at her kitchen sink, refilled her glass with water, and guzzled it empty. The it that had given her the night terrors for 7 straight days, the night terrors that she thought had ended 10 days ago, the night terrors that had made her violently ill to her stomach, the night terrors that stole her sleep night after night after night for 7 darn days. The visions had disturbed her rest in vague segments. A pair of panthers tore flesh from some helpless creature. A giant scorpion poisoned thousands of faceless children with its lethal stinger. A demon witch who kept men chained to a cave wall cast spells, bringing chaos and destruction.
On that forsaken world called Earth.
Tornadoes several miles wide, accompanied by a catastrophic earthquake, crumbled the earth like a rotten pecan. Fire consumed ancient woodlands. Ice, thick as the trunk of a century-old elm, buried the Earth's deserts. At least Shane, her live-in boyfriend of 4 years, had been home and not hundreds of miles away on the rig in Pecos. First night of the nightmares, Amy had woken 4 times. Shane had dragged her from the bed and cooked her favorite, homemade mac and cheese. In the early hours of the morning, they had finished eating, and she was beginning to feel calmer. Shane teased about screwing the nightmares from her pretty head. And that was exactly what he'd done. Amy smiled at the memory. Her face flushed, but this time not from the Texas heat. She leaned over the sink and dribbled water on the back of her head. Maybe everybody in town was right about Sherry. She was a fake and a liar. After all, it had been 10 whole days since the nightmares, and she didn't feel any presence around her. Dark or otherwise, Sherry just wanted Amy's money. But Sherry had refused Amy's 20 spot. Damn. Amy shook her long blonde strands and straightened. She scooped her wet hair and draped it down her back. Flipping around, she lifted her chin and glanced at the refrigerator. Stuck to the center of the door was a picture of her and Shane at Galveston Beach. Shane wasn't due home for days, but maybe he could come home early. Amy pushed off the sink. She took a step toward her purse hanging on the back of the chair. She'd call and explain what happened at Sherry's. He'd have to understand. That's when she saw the rodent. Right smack dab in the middle of her tiled kitchen floor. Dead. Bloody. Headless. Freya, that darn cat. Hands on her cheeks, she closed her eyes. Sherry was right. A very dark energy had latched onto her. Bad things were happening. No wonder Sherry wanted her to leave so badly, so quickly. Amy was no good to be around. She was a menace. This poor rodent gruesomely, senselessly murdered. Oh, this wretched spirit. Why wouldn't it leave her alone? What was the it that was haunting her? And what had she done to deserve it? She snatched the spray bottle from under the sink. 2 parts water, 1 part lemon juice, 1 big fat onion marinating at the bottom. Dashing down her hall, she sprayed the walls, around the bathroom door, bedroom door, linen closet, and the wood floors. Amy sprayed the curtains in the living room, the sofa, and the recliner. Returning to the kitchen, she set the bottle on the table. She grabbed a thick stack of paper towels and scooped up the rat. The rodent's spirit would haunt her. She'd read about it many times. People and animals with untimely deaths haunted their place of demise. The poor rat would need a proper burial, buried whole, with its head. She stood on her porch and scanned the grass for any sign of the missing head. Sacred Oaks Forest bordered the property. The spooky woods seemed unnaturally quiet. The Woodland Reserve harbored many secrets that some believed to be ancient evils. Others, like Shane, swore the stories were nothing more than rumors that lonely old biddies cooked up. At 23, Amy was too young to call herself an old biddy, but she believed those tales to be a lot more than folklore. Her heart told her so. And if she learned anything from her aunt, it was to trust her own instincts. A quiet voice inside her head told her she was being irrational, and maybe even a bit loony. Her Aunt Carol had drilled craziness into her head since she was a little bitty girl. For over a decade, Aunt Carol had been a permanent resident of El Paso Psychiatric Center. And for a whole year, Amy had lived in a neighboring wing. While most 14-year-old girls spent their time gossiping and painting their nails, Amy had spent her time talking to ghosts.
I'm not making any friends. And they keep changing my medicine. I wish I could leave, but they won't let me. I don't know when. I hope soon. Your brother doesn't like me. I would know if he liked me. He so doesn't like me.
She was 14 when she started hearing Vicky's voice in her head, 3 years after Vicky's death. And by 17, Amy's mom had had enough. So she booked Amy a room at the psych ward with her aunt. Some families had to deal with hereditary diabetes or high blood pressure, but Amy had inherited the crazy bug. Amy was released 5 years ago. deemed sane and fit to return to normal society, and she was determined never to return. She wasn't crazy. Not crazy. A mantra she repeated daily, if only to convince herself, if nobody else.